I do feel like this film deserves props for originality. Okay, Death of a Unicorn was my second movie of my double feature day. The first one was The Woman in the Yard, which was pretty depressing and heavy stuff. Death of a Unicorn was interesting. It was this mix of comedy and horror. It was almost like a black comedy. I did not watch the full trailer because I didn't want to know anything about anything, but if you guys have seen the trailer, you know what it's about. I'll give you the basic synopsis. Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega play father and daughter, and Jenna's lost her mom, Paul has lost his wife, and they're going up into this mountainous area to spend the weekend with Paul's boss. He's like this big, I don't know, part of like a pharmaceutical company. I can't I think he might have been part of a pharmaceutical company. He's ailing. His health is ailing. While they're driving along the roads, it's a very remote area in the mountains. I don't even remember what state it's in, but they hit a unicorn in the road. And Jenna Ortega's character is, horrified by the fact that they've hit this animal. They don't know what it is at first, but they approach the animal. She touches its horn, and she has this connection with the animal. Paul Rudd attempts to put the beast out of its misery because it's dying, and they take the body with them to the location where they were headed. Eventually, the people there find out this pharmaceutical guy and his wife, played by Taya Leone, and their son, played by the dude who played Adam Warlock. I don't remember that guy's name. He's got such an unusual face. He was such a character in here. This film, there were quite a few chuckles from the audience because there were some comedic moments and there was some comedic dialogue, and the way the rich family acted was just so very typical, right? They eventually find out about the situation with the unicorn. They also find out that the unicorn's blood has healing properties, so they want to seize on this, capitalize on it for their business. So the film starts off, I wouldn't say lighthearted, but more comedic in nature. And then Jenna Ortega starts to realize things about unicorns in general, and she feels that what is going on, it's not good, and they need to leave because something terrible is going to happen. She eventually pieces it together, and about halfway through the film, all hell breaks loose, and it then shifts from being something that's a bit more lighthearted or a bit more comedic and an interesting situation, like how are they going to deal with this dead unicorn body? And then it becomes this horror film as other unicorns make themselves known, and they are not friendly, beautiful little creatures. They are vicious and they are killers, and it's gnarly. The deaths that occur in here, gnarly. There were a few jump scares in here. There were some people sitting in front of me in the theater, and oh my gosh, this one guy, you'd think he'd never seen a horror movie. He physically jumped like really big in his chair at least twice. When I say really big, I mean legs going up and arms going. I was worried he was going to have a heart attack or something, the way he was acting. Oh my gosh. So that was funny. So there's jump scares. Prepare yourself for that. The film is about an hour and 48 minutes long. I had read that there was a post-credit scene. There is not a post-credit scene. So that information was not valid. Granted, this was an AI response to my question. I'm pretty sure it was in the browser. So I hung around for nothing, but like I said, I will give this film props for originality. It felt a skosh too long. It felt like it was maybe 10 minutes too long because there were some things that happened that were kind of a little repetitive in nature as far as the interactions between the unicorns and the people and everything. That's not a huge complaint. I can't say that I hated this film. I'm not super in love with it. I wouldn't mind rewatching it because I thought it was entertaining enough, and I did like the concept, and I thought that was pretty interesting. I will say also that it's a little predictable. There are things that happen that, if you've watched any number of horror or creature movies, you know certain things that are going to occur. And yes, they occurred. It's a little bit of a complaint because given the fact that this was an original story, I kind of was hoping that my expectations would have been subverted a bit. Now, this was written and directed by the same person. I'm going to look up his name real quick and see what all he's done that maybe I've heard of before. So just bear with me a moment. The director's name, I can't look up his Doesn't have a link to him. Let me look up his IMDb page. Okay, so he only has 2 directing credits. This looks like his first full-length feature movie. He has written various things and he's been a producer on various things. Okay, so that's interesting. So he hasn't been doing this as long as I thought. I felt in a lot of ways the film was directed pretty well, and I liked some of the shots that were captured. I thought the cinematography was good. In addition to the fact that it did feel a skosh long and some things felt a bit repetitive and it was a bit predictable, I have a little complaint about the unicorns. Sometimes it looked okay, the CGI, and then other times it looks so very CGI, and I just don't understand why CGI in a lot of ways hasn't improved, because there are films from 15 plus years ago that hold up better than some films today. And you would think that given the fact that this is a movie about unicorns, which, you know, they're not real animals, so they're going to have some sort of visual effect that's done to present these creatures, you would think that a bit more would have gone into making them seem more realistic. That's not a huge complaint. It's just kind of sort of a con-ish thing going on in my brain when I think about it. But it wasn't a film that made me angry, and it was a bit stereotypical with some of the way certain characters were presented, but I enjoyed myself watching it. I thought Jenna Ortega did a great job in here. She's a really good actress. I first noticed her in the Scream movie that she was in, the very first one that she was in with Melissa Barrera, and I felt like her performance overshadowed Melissa's, even though Melissa was more of the main character. Anyway, Jenna's a great actress. It was fun to watch her performance in here, and everybody did a fine job in the acting. I think if you're interested in watching something that's like, I don't know, paranormal, horror, comedy-ish sort of thing, or supernatural, I don't know what you consider unicorns. Are they paranormal, supernatural, fantasy, whatever? If you're down for that sort of blending of genres, then check out Death of a Unicorn. It doesn't have the highest ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. In fact, it's got a rotten score right now. It kind of surprises me a little that it does, because I don't feel like it's as bad as that score, you know, that aggregated score represents it to be. It's certainly not top tier, but it was interesting and it was enjoyable enough and original, and I'm glad that it was something that I had a decent enough time spending almost 2 hours of my life with. So that's about all I have to say now about Death of a Unicorn. Let me know your thoughts if you check it out. It's out this weekend. Don't have anything else to say. Adios.